you, he created us all. Hush, little baby, don't you fear. We're never alone when Allah's so near. Hush, little baby, breathing so calm. He'll protect us all and keep us from harm. Hush, little baby, still and serene. You are a Muslim, Islam's your deen. Hush, little baby, pure and small.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear audience everywhere, welcome to this new episode, which will be about lesson planning. And I think it's the core of all what we are talking about, from my perspective at least. We mentioned many factors that would make the class effective, would make our teaching more effective than it had been. One new element is planning for a lesson, or planning lesson, or lesson plan, which takes different names here. And if we go back to the flower model here, my idea is that we may make some changes here to add this concept of lesson plan. Where would you think that we put it? Beside interactivity or here? Where exactly do you want to put it? Yes?
Under the title, Variety of Teaching Methods.
Variety of teaching methods. Another opinion?
Distributive focus.
Distributive focus. Another opinion? Yeah, my own opinion, I mentioned it, but you didn't pay attention to it. I would take effective teaching and put it on here, the title here, and I would put in the middle here, lesson planning. In the middle. It's the core of what we are talking about. All these factors, I think they are actions. All of them are actions. Lesson plan talks about planning, and you cannot act without planning. You cannot build a house without having a plan, at least in your mind, what do you need in this house, right? So you need to plan before. So planning ahead is the most important thing. Lesson planning, definitely depending on our experiences and our expertise, it would differ. But at least we need to come to an agreement of how many elements, or what are the elements that we need to put in a lesson plan. Now I think we have something. I need, if you can put them, start from the top. Tell me what would be on the top of a lesson plan. Yes?
The topic of the lesson?
The name, the lesson plan, we have 1 or 2 pages. So do you mean the name of the lesson?
Yes.
Okay, the name of the lesson. What else? The name of the teacher, the grade, all these important information. Would you put it on the top?
Yes.
This is your viewpoint?
Yes.
Okay, I have a different viewpoint. What do you think that comes before this even?
Then the objective of the lesson.
Objectives? What do you think that comes before this? It's opinions, it's nothing. My opinion, if I'm designing one, yes, I will design it that way, yes.
Prior lesson plans.
Yes. Prior lesson, you mean what? Experience?
Prior lesson plans result.
Oh, the results, assessment. Yeah, were you here in the first 2 days? Yes, see, experience makes difference. So I think I would do it. I would get an arrow, and they would say that the arrow refers that it's coming from the past, right? The results. What problems did you have, yes, in the exam, when you analyzed the exam? You found such a number of students having this problem, so I would put it on the top. Before the name of the new lesson, we didn't get into the new lesson yet, right? And then I would follow it up by what you have said, that the necessary information that you need. The name of the teacher, the class, the grade, the period, because this is a document. Sometimes you need to refer to it. Okay. And after that, immediately, what do you think would come? By the way, when I ask you, do you design your own when you are going to present your lesson, inshallah, while you are sitting in 5 minutes? It's up to you. It's just an opinion. That's what I feel. You can argue with it. Okay. What comes after this? Now we are starting the lesson.
The aim and the objective of the lesson.
The objectives of the lesson. Remember, we talked much about the objectives. We described them by 3 words. So it's either you specify the objective that you want to achieve today, or the objective you want to achieve by the end of all lessons. So they say that now, achievable, measurable, specific, and the time frame. You find many books, by the way, are written about learning objectives or learning outcomes. And also in the lesson plan, remember that when you do this, you need to spell them out and share them with students. Some teachers would ask the student to come and read them. And would ask the students, are you able to explain? Can you explain them to the others, to the whole class? Instead of the teacher doing everything, the teacher is writing or doing anything else while he is using the time effectively, and he is using a student to explain them to the others. You have to share them with the students and be sure that the students understand them. Okay? And usually 2 or maximum 3 is more than enough. Don't try to list them. Some teachers are smarter in using the time effectively, right? They don't use the board, right? They may type them in computer. At home, they use their own home, right? They write them very well, right? And then they print them large font, and they ask one of the students to put them. In this way, first of all, you have the objectives. You've done your effort this time, but you have them all the time. So you will not do the work again. Remember, when you go to another class, you don't need to rewrite them again. When you go into next year, you don't need to do them again. You already. This is the beauty of having a computer. If you have data show projector, you already don't need anything. You just show it to the students, right? Ask one student to read them and see how time management is very important. In every step it's very important. Okay, so you share them with the student. I told you about a good practice about this. A Syrian teacher, yes. He wrote the objectives on the board, and he asked the students, during the time of my class, whenever you feel that we covered this objective, please come to the board and check it. So he's busy teaching, and from time to time you find this student is coming doing this, or this student is coming to check number, and he didn't put them in order. So he wanted to be sure that the students understand what's going on. It was an amazing, and I think this is one of the best practices in terms of lesson objectives. I hope you benefit from it. If you do it and an inspector or the principal comes to you, to your class and sees this, even if he doesn't know what we're talking about, he will know that you are an outstanding teacher. Remember, you are not doing the job for the sake of your principal, right? Okay, good. What else would come after lesson objectives? Okay.
The resources involved in preparing the lesson.
I think I would use the teaching aids beside everything that I produce. For example, if I'm using this method, I would put beside it the teaching aid. If I'm doing this activity, I'm putting beside it the teaching aid. I let this book to go beside to you. If you reflected upon them, you would find that almost every exercise here had a logo beside it to tell you whether you use this technique or that technique, audio tool or video tool. So I meant it to be like this to make it helpful for the teachers and the students to know what tool to do. So exactly, when you put an exercise or we put a task or an activity, put beside it what you're going to use, as whether it's flashcards, whether it's sheet work, whether it is a video clip beside each task. I think this is my opinion, instead of putting them in order. So I would focus on the tasks that I'm going to do and the activities, yes. I would say the task or the activity, the teaching method, and the teaching aid, the visual or the audio visual. I'd put them in that order. Task, right? Or number of exercise, and then beside it, I would put the teaching method that I'm going to use to achieve it, and finally I would put the aid. we may change this after some time right now. It's, right? When somebody would put an idea here, we can change it. I think it's time to take a break, and then we'll come back, inshallah. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Hush, little baby, breathing so calm.
Dialogue. Discussion. Debate. Rebuttal. Conclusion.
Eliminate misconceptions about religion. Get enlightened.
Witness Dr. Zakir Naik in a battle of words in Crossfire. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 10 a.m. India on Peace TV.
Muhammad, peace be
Pearls of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Narrated Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him. Allah's Messenger, may peace be upon him, said, if any one of you improves in following Islam, then his good deeds will be rewarded 10 times to 700 times for each good deed, and a bad deed will be recorded as it is. Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 1, Book of Faith, Hadith number 42.
The night of decree is better than 1,000 months. The benefits of worship and the vigil in the night of power.
Ramadan, which is the topic of the show. Do you have any advice for our viewers?
Asad Ahmad.
Especially in the blessed month of Ramadan.
The Ramadan is the reminder of rectifying our behavior.
Dr. Ali Shaban.
Ramadan is a unique opportunity for every Muslim.
And the reasons behind this revelation and its power emphasized as the human heart transcends towards godly glory.
If you apply Ramadan to the rest of the year,
Tariq Ali.
Surely you are going to be much better in all fields, all aspects.
And the gratitude of the soul reaches out to worship the Almighty One on this esteemed night.
Just to stick more and more all the time to the Holy Quran.
Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim.
This is my advice to all my Muslim brothers.
Let's strive to seek the night of power and its bliss in Blessed Nights, next on Peace TV.
Hush, little baby, breathing so calm.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back after the break. Let's continue our discussion about lesson planning. The last point that we mentioned before we say the last, can you remind me of the things that we mentioned from the beginning? The first thing is that the results of, right? That not the results, the analysis, right? Or the problems that resulted in the previous exam. Then
Topic.
Facts about this. The name of the teacher, the name of the class, right? The period, the whatever. Okay. Then after that we said
The objectives of the lesson.
learning objectives with the characteristics of learning objectives, right? What are these 4 characteristics without looking at them?
Achievable, measurable, specific, and
We speak very well in groups, right?
Time bound.
Okay. So, first
Achievable,
one is
achievable.
something to be done, something realistic.
Measurable.
Measurable.
Is measurable. Third
Specific.
is specific, which I think it falls under measurable, right? And
Time-bound.
time frame, the
Time-bound.
time frame of it. Okay. Some other people added something to this, said that the degree of performance, For example, they would say, people, there are some tables for this, but I don't want you to make everything in a table. It's up to you. They say that by the end of the lesson, and they specify it is 40 minutes, student would be able to memorize 5 ayat from Surah Al-Baqarah without making a mistake, or making 1 mistake, or making 2 mistakes. See, very specific. So the only thing that's allowed for the students to get outstanding is to make 2 mistakes or no mistakes. It's up to you to decide. You are the one who has. Here the question of expectation. So you're raising the bar from time to time. In the first year, you were very gentle. You allowed the students to make mistakes in 3 words. Now in the second year, you said, no, it's only 2 mistakes. You are the same teacher, it's the same Quran, right? But you're raising the bar. Okay. See how things correlate with each other. Okay, تفضل. Any other thing? What's after learning objectives? Said that preparation for the lesson. And what we mean preparation for the lesson is what? Linking the lesson with prior knowledge, with previous lessons or not. So this would be before you begin into the lesson. Okay? This is the exact place of it. Remember when we put it with links in general. But this is the place that we can put. You're making preparation for the lesson, right? You're trying to build some connection here by helping students to link it with previous knowledge or prior knowledge. Very good. Now we come to the activities and tasks. Reading a text, for example. The method, you say, you specify the method if you can, right? And then you say that the resources that you're going to use. Or the activity. What is the activity? Conversation between students or discussions, right? You say, right, the method is that dividing students into 3 groups. You write this. The resource that you are going to use, for example, dictionaries or textbooks or whatever. So you write this. So this falls under what? The academic activities and the activities that you are going to use. Activities, tasks, whatever. Sequence of the lesson. Say sequence of the lesson, which thing that you are going to begin with. So it falls also here. All of them are in one section. Okay. What's after that? What do you think that we need to add to make it more professional?
I would like to add the time frame for everything.
Wonderful. Let's go back to this table that we mentioned. I put the time beside each one. So you need to know that this activity should not exceed 7 minutes. And all the time give you freedom from 4 to 6, from 3 to 5. Give yourself frame, right? So don't say 5 minutes, 7 minutes, right? So make it a frame, a range of. This is good. So now the table is getting more complex, right? Good. What else? You can look into where's the flower or the fish. Show me the flower or the fish. So you can get some ideas from here. Yes, if you have an idea, tell me.
Open and close-ended question after the task or activity.
Okay. Where would you put it? I would put it as a technique, right? For example, you say the activity is discussion, right? I would write beside it open-ended questions, for example. Or it can be part of your life. All the time, you're thinking like this. So you don't need to say it. Like your name, you don't need to say your name every time, right? Because you know it. So it can be here or there. Okay, what else do you need to do?
I would include links, like co-curricular, subject links.
This is really great. You need to put links because links should not come to you while you are teaching. You should prepare for them, right? Good, links. What else? Who may help you? If I say that, you need to make some sort of classification of knowledge, concept, skills. Do you think it has a place here?
Yes.
It can be beside the task or somewhere there. Is the task focuses on knowledge or does it focus on concepts or does it focus on skills? It's up to you. If you feel that it is a burden, don't add it. What else?
Could be with objectives also.
It can be in the objectives.
The knowledge, skill, concept.
Beside every objective, right, you can classify whether it is a skill or concept, just to use the paper very, very actively. Yes. I'm telling you the truth. Many, many, many organizations have not come to 20% of what you're saying. I've seen plenty of lesson plans. They are too weak in comparison of what you are describing now. So alhamdulillah, you achieved something very good until now. Okay, what else? How can you use these things? Yes.
Column of activity or task. I could divide it as in a balance between group, individual work or teamwork, and with respect to engaging students. Like what could I include in the activity is this.
I think I talked about this. Said the activity and right beside it, yes, group work or individual work. Group work or individual work. Somewhere in the table you need to fit this. Okay, what else? If you are involving parents, right? Somewhere say that, okay, a parent would come, or a parent or a speaker or a visitor or another teacher. Somewhere you write it. At least if he or she doesn't come, at least you do the job. But you can write it somewhere. I don't know where you put it, but it's an element that you may think of it.
Assessment and evaluation of what has been taught. How will you assess the lesson, what you've taught?
Now, this is wonderful. I will put it before the last step, okay, which is evaluation, assessment, your assessment of the students. How are you going to assess your students? Are you going to make oral questions? And you should be very smart, right? One from here, one from here, one from there, right? Done. You be very selective. You have the sample in front of you. You know the high achievers, the low. So you select good sample, representative samples of students who represent different levels, okay? Or you can make it written. So you say oral or written, right? So you decide, and you should have it. If you have it written, so attach it to the lesson plan. You can say quiz that would take 3 minutes or 4 minutes, distribute it and just get it, and that's over, okay? And you can even correct it in less than a few seconds. You exchange them with students and they do the correction, right? And then even sometimes you don't need to ask the students to write their names. Your goal here is not knowing individual students. Your goal here is to evaluate the overall performance of the class, right? So the students here, you said at the end, how many in the papers that you corrected got 90 or above? So there. Now you know that, for example, 75% of the students got, right, 90 or above. Here you want to evaluate the whole situation, right? It's not an exam that you want to know the performance of every student. You understand this? It makes it easy for you. If we reach the step before the final, so what's the final step? I'm quite sure that when you rethink of all these things, that you may find again some points that we didn't mention. Okay.
This point can be used both the ways, because now you mentioned about evaluation. We can, before we take a formal evaluation, even without the names, we can easily take a feedback from the students.
Oh, this is the final one. This is the final one. This is plenary, they call it. Feedback, and not only feedback, their own opinion. Yes. What do you think you have learned today? That's what we have done yesterday, and we're going to do today. It's enough for you to take 3 or 4 students. Yes, depending on the time that you have. You can take more or less. Yes.
And we can incorporate it in the next lesson plan.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're all linked together.
Oh, yeah. If you find that all students, for example, you can incorporate even the results of the exam. If 80% of the students did not understand the concept of taqwa, they couldn't spell it out. So you need to address it next time. So in this case, you put it in the bottom, right? The concept of taqwa. So when you plan for the next lesson, you take the concept taqwa on the top, right? Because it was not addressed well or you didn't have time. You see how it works? Right? It's a cycle. Okay, any other comment?
I would also include one criteria or column would say problems encountered during the class, because next time when I am reviewing my lesson, I know where my fault.
Wonderful. You can put it in the last sentence. Problems encountered students. This would be the last sentence. And you leave a space for 2 or 3 points. Yes?
In fact, in a lesson plan, there can be it can be segregated into 3 parts. First is this whole thing which we just spoke. Second part about if we are inviting a guest, their topic, their time, their profession, so that even we need to have an idea about that.
Yeah.
And feedback as well from all 3 sides.
Huh?
Feedback from the students' angle, guests' angle, as well as the teachers.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah,
teachers'
of course.
analyzation.
Feedback, you ask, what have you learned? And then, can you evaluate me? To get the evaluation, if I were you, I wouldn't get it consistently. I would get it only, right, at the end of every week or at the end of every month to evaluate you. I wouldn't get this into every day. It's time consuming, right? So you can, from time to time, depending on you, it's up to you. I myself wouldn't do it every day. You know that in the USA, we do it at the end of the semester, once. So if you do want to do it twice, it's up to you. They evaluate you. Okay. Well, they can evaluate the presenter if you're going to need him, if he's another teacher. But if he's a parent or something, it may be sensitive, so you ignore that. Okay? We are approaching the end. Any question before we close? Now we have clear idea, right? I hope you wrote all of them. Can you show them on the screen for them? So if they forgot something, yes, we'll give you a few minutes to do this before we begin the next one. Or you can do it while we are talking in the next time. Jazakumullahu khairan. I hope you benefited from this session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Little baby, pure and small, he created you, he created us all. Hush, little baby, don't you fear, we're never alone when Allah's so near. Hush, little baby, breathing so calm, he'll protect us all and keep us from harm. Hush, little baby, still and serene, you are a Muslim, Islam's your deen. Hush, little baby, pure and small, he created you.